Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to play the 8 Principles video while we're all getting settled.
The Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola, the 8 Principles.
Number 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Number 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relation.
Number 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation.
Number 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Number 5, the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregation and in society at large.
Number 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all.
Number 7, respect for the interdependent web of existence,
of which we are all a part.
Number 8, active commitment to dismantle racism and other oppression in ourselves and our institutions.
Yes, yay. Hi, good morning. Welcome, everybody. I'm Mary Beth. I'm your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her, and we are so happy to have you here. If this is your first time, a big fat welcome. And in case you're wondering, you've made it home. Welcome, good job. We are your family now. You're in the right place, so welcome. If you're joining online, thank you so much for watching in your jammies. We appreciate you. And if you're returning, obviously, we love you. We're so glad to see you again. It's a good day. It's rainy. That's okay, though. It's starting to cool off. I was outside last night. I didn't get bit by any bugs, so yay, it's a win. Yes, thank you. Okay, before I forget, please take a moment to silence all your devices. It's very distracting, and, we don't want that, because we got a lot of good stuff, right? And let's be in the moment. Let's be present, be here in this loving, welcoming community. Okay, thank you. If you are new to us, hopefully you got a pamphlet with all of our information, but if not, that's okay. You can grab one on your way out the door, or you can go to our website, uupensacola.org. It has everything you need to know about the Unitarian Universalist Church, and also us as a community. So check out the website. It has fun and fellowship events. It has, ways you can give. It has it all. What else? A little bit about us. We are a lay-led congregation. We don't have like a regular minister. So today we have a reoccurring speaker, and he's always a fan favorite. So we're glad to have him. But we also have people from all walks of life that come and share their story with us and their experience. And so it's just something new and fresh every week, and we love that. So if you want to go back to previous services, we're also on YouTube. So subscribe now. Anywho, so that's a little about us, and we thank you so much for being here. I do have quite a few announcements, so buckle up, kids, because it's thick. Yes, okay, first and foremost, look at my shirt. Oh, isn't that nice? Thank you. It's our official UUCP shirt, designed by Claire and ordered and organized by Laura Keith King. I'm wearing this today, and several others are, because after service, directly, right, after service, before snacks and goodies, don't leave, and we're going to meet up here on stage and take a big group family photo. So that's okay that you don't have a shirt. This is fine. We want to, incorporate all of our looks. So this is today. Yeah, you don't have to be a member. Just get on up here and make us look even better with your beautiful face. So that is today, directly after service. Next week, directly after service, is Sunday Sweets. If you are new to us, come again, and you can get a free piece of pie or cake or something like that. We sell it out in the lobby, and all proceeds go to our church because we are lay-led. Everything we run on you. We run on you, our members, and our friends and family. So, Sunday Sweets, bring cash or check. If you don't have that, we'll figure something out. Okay, so that's that one. Please come and help out our outdoor cleanup, Saturday, October 25th, from 9 to 1. It's a potluck, so bring something shareable, and the lunch is at noon. And you can see Laura Keith King for any questions, and if you wouldn't mind letting her know, that way she can plan ahead and be thinking of how she can use you on that day. So that's our cleanup. October 19th, Sunday, after service, we're doing another family lunch at Vallarta, the Mexican restaurant just down the street. So instead of goodies and snacks, which we usually always have, we're going to just meet at the Mexican restaurant afterwards. So please come to that. It's going to be a very special day, and we don't want any of you to miss it. So that's Sunday the 19th after church. Oh, and let me know, if you could, let me know by that Sunday so I know how big of a table we need to get. The Panhandle Trans Coalition will be having their first annual Halloween dance / potluck here at the church on October 18th from 4 to 10. Dress up and bring a dish to pass. So that is October 18th, and they always know how to throw a good party, so don't miss that. This one. Earth Stars will be hosting the Trick or Treasure Hunt again this year. It's on Sunday, October 26th from 1 to 3. And they need volunteers, specifically with muscle. Strong backs would help as well because we'll need to set up and, clear things up and stuff. So we also need a few people, preferably in costume. Nothing fancy, or something fancy if you got it in you. So we'll need to staff the different tables with all the candy. So if you are able to help, could you please let Farron or Gay know? There's Farron and there's Gay there. And again, that's Sunday, October 26th from 1 to 3. We have a lot going on. This is exciting. Penny Featherstone is hosting a new coffee and conversation for Cluster Group G. What is the Cluster Group G, you might ask? Well, if you just look behind you directly above Josie, just wave there, Josie, thank you. Yes, that is your cluster group, and it's zip codes 3250 or 050607 and 32526. Bit confusing, sorry. I'll get into more of that later. But that's for Cluster Group G, and it starts Tuesday, October 28th at 10 a.m. at Penny Featherstone's house. So members of the group will receive emails with details, but if you have any questions, you can holler at Penny Featherstone. And on that note, this marks the 2-year anniversary of the 3-month pilot project for these coffee and conversations. So it kind of started as like let's see. 2 years later, it's grown and we're getting another cluster group for this coffee and conversation. So if you are interested in possibly hosting one for your own cluster group, you are welcome to see Lori Winterberg back in the back there, and she has details on how you can get going on that. So cluster groups. I've made an announcement for that. Let me read it. Hey, church family. We are excited to share that our cluster groups have been revamped to better service and connect our community. These groups are assigned by zip code and are designed to be a source of support during inclement weather, a way to gather locally, and most importantly, a reminder that you have friends nearby who love you and care about you, and they're there for you. So to kick things off, today and next week, we're going to have a little meet and greet, thus the letters all throughout the sanctuary. So I mentioned earlier, we always have snacks after service. So after we take the picture, go get you some snacks and coffee, and then bring it back in here to the service and find your cluster group. So again, some of the zip codes they're easy, but like J, that's a whole bunch. So 32563 or 66 or 69. 32570 or 71, and also 32583. I hope that makes sense. If not, just go somewhere. It's fine. Don't worry about it, But try and find your cluster group and chat and meet each other because y'all are neighbors. And at some point, Fun and Fellowship is going to try some different things with the cluster groups. Nothing crazy, maybe some, friendly cluster group competition like trivia or the bracket for March Madness, something like that. So get to know your family and, yeah, that'll be good. Cluster groups. Last one. Join our long-term planning committee. We are forming a committee to help shape our church's 5-year plan. It's a roadmap for growth, connection, and community impact. We had this a while ago, and it kind of, I think, faded over the years, but we really want to bring that back because I think it's important. I think we now more than ever need this church in our community and around the world. So let's make sure that we thrive and grow. And this team will bring our congregation together to set meaningful goals and guide our future. If you are passionate about our church's mission and want to be a part of the vision, we'd love to have you involved. Let's dream together, plan together, and grow together. And if you're interested, please see Brett Ramsey there, that handsome fella right there. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Okay. I apologize. I know that was a lot. Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask Lee if you wouldn't mind coming up, and we'll just have some words for our chalice lighting. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith, a faith built on the foundations of freedom, reason, and welcome. A faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice, a faith that envisions a world flourishing with equality for all people, a faith that demands the living out of goodness, a faith that requires thoughtfulness, a faith that requires wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all this within each of us. I'm going to ask the choir to come up, and musicians, if you're ready, we have Mike is going to lead us in a song that Mike and Rivka wrote. It's just some centering music. So I encourage you to listen to the words, take some deep breaths, meditate, pray, do what you need to do, and they'll lead us in this, or sing it for us. Some opening words. Into this home, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will towards justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. Into this home we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. Thank you. We have a good song for our opening number today, our opening song. If you guys are willing and able to stand and sing with us, we'll have the words up on the screen here. I think you guys know it, right? Seems like a classic. The times, they are a-changing, appropriate for the times and the service today. The choir is going to lead us in this. So yeah, if you're willing and able to stand and sing, and then after that, stay standing and we'll do say our covenant together. And Mike and them's going to lead us. Please stay standing and we'll say the covenant here together. Love is the spirit of this church and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, choir. This time is our joys and sorrows for the service. If you're new to us, the joys and sorrows are just for here. The people here, it's not shared online. It won't be on our YouTube channel. It's just for now in the present. It's a time that we can share together a joy or concern that's, laying heavy on our hearts. I know there's a lot going on, so we do light our first candle as like a big representative for everything that's going on in the world. Because as I always like to say, there's just not enough time or candles or fire for that matter, to represent everything. So we'll just light a big candle for that. And then if you want to line up on either side, we'll share your name and briefly what you'd like to share with us. And like I said, I'll light one candle first for everything going on, and then I am going to light a second candle because it's someone special's birthday today. And we should sing them happy birthday. It's Mike. Mike is our musician leader, just all around lovely person. Shall we? Happy birthday to the first Sunday of the month, in case you guys don't know, is the children stay in with us. And so sometimes we have a time for all ages, sometimes we don't, but we definitely have one today. And we are going to have, I've got two speakers that are going to come up and read for us if y'all want to make your way up. Please help me welcome Zach and Peter for our time for all ages.
Good morning. I'm Zach. This is Peter. And we are going to share a story called Petra by Mariana Capo. You want to start?
Nothing can move me.
Not the wind, not time.
I don't go anywhere. Everyone comes to me.
I am strong. I am a fearsome, fearless, mighty, magnificent mountain. Maybe not so much. Go ahead.
Is that a pebble?
Me? A pebble? No way.
I am an egg, a smooth and shiny egg. I am not any ordinary egg. I am an egg of the world, in a world of possibility.
Will I breathe fire? Will I wear a tuxedo? Whatever I become, I am bound to be amazing.
There's no room for rocks in my nest.
Oh no, not again. This is becoming a pattern.
Well, they say no egg is an island.
But what an amazing island I am. What paradise, what palm trees, what peace, what sunshine, what...
What a cool rock.
Not bad at all.
What will I be tomorrow? Who knows? Well, no need to worry. I am a rock, and this is how I roll.
So Petra was so sure that they knew what they were, a mountain and an egg and an island, but every time they moved, they needed to change. And we are a lot like that. We will be lots of different people and things in our lives, but like Petra says, there's no need to worry, because as long as we're open to what we're becoming next, we will always be becoming who we need to be. The end. Thank you, Peter.
Good job, guys. Okay, it's time for the offering. We got to have it because we are solely funded by you all, as I said earlier. So we take time, talent, treasure, anything you guys can give, but at this moment, I'm going to ask our ushers to come, and they'll pass around a basket and take any kind of treasure you are able and willing to give. You can also mail us a check or text the number there, or you can give online, which is, I think, what most people do. So if you have questions about that, feel free to see our website, and it has instructions and things on how to give online. Musicians, can y'all play us something while we pass around the baskets? Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. That's perfect. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I get the pleasure of introducing our speaker. Spoiler alert, you've already seen him up here. But I said earlier he is a reoccurring speaker, and we're so lucky and blessed to have him, and yes, him and his lovely family. So please help me welcome Zach Helton.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning again. So in the 1850s, horses were the main mode of transportation in the United States. They were everywhere, especially urban areas. By the 1880s, New York City alone had something like 200,000 horses that people would use to get from one place to another. In the 1890s, there was a small shift. Automobiles started appearing for the first time, but they didn't really make a huge dent. Everyone stuck to their horses. They were cheaper, they worked fine. When Henry Ford introduced the Model T, though, in 1908, a cheap and easy-to-use vehicle, then things changed quickly. By 1920, only 12 years after the Model T came out, there were 9 million cars in the U.S. And by the mid-1920s, or according to this picture, as early as 1913, cars outnumbered horses by far. And the whole shift took less than 20 years. Only a generation prior, a city street without horses would have been unimaginable. But now here we are. I read about this shift in an essay that was quoting Christian Smith, an author and a sociologist. Smith is the author of several books, but his field is not horses. Smith writes about religion. The story about the horses he uses as a metaphor for what we are seeing in faith communities right now. In 2007, 78 of U.S. adults identified themselves as Christian. In 2024, it was 62. Meanwhile, during that time, the number of adults who reported having no real religious affiliation rose from 16 to 29%. Christianity, it would appear, is going the way of the horse and buggy. Now, wait a minute. These stats might not surprise you. They didn't really surprise me, even when I was a pastor and I heard them. After all, most of us know just how out of step religion is. Religion has become in the U.S. on issues of science and social justice. So it makes sense that as a society, we're just kind of losing patience. Add to that a cascade of revelations about abuse and institutional mismanagement, and it all just kind of makes sense that Christianity would be on its way out. Except, here's the thing. Let me tell you what did take me off guard about those numbers. Of those declining stats between 2007 and 2024, the number of adults identifying as evangelical only dropped from 26% to 23%. That's only 3%. As it turns out, the major Christian denominations, evangelicals are actually doing pretty okay. Liberals, on the other hand, are in trouble. It's the mainline Protestants that are declining, the progressive Christians. And before you ask, what does this have to do with Unitarian Universalists? Good question. I'll tell you, UUs have their roots in liberal Christianity. We share a lot of DNA, and we are not exempt from those trends. In fact, between 2014 and 2024, membership among UU churches dropped 16%. And if you widen that timeline and compare it to the relative growth of the U.S. population, those numbers are even more humbling. In other words, we may think it's the fundamentalists who are going the way of the horse and buggy, but it's not. It's us. And that took me off guard. Several weeks ago, I was doing my regular ritual of deleting about 10,000 newsletters to try to see if I had any actual emails. And as I did, this one caught my eye. And it was from a group called Homebrew Christianity. It's a liberal group I followed for a while, founded by a man named Tripp Fuller. And I was about to automatically delete it with the rest of them, but then I saw the subject line and I paused. The Perfect Storm, it read. Why liberal Christianity is facing an existential crisis. And I stopped for a minute and I read through it. And then when I was done, I read through it again. And it gave me a lot of helpful language and framework to put this decline in the context of a narrative. And I thought, the next time I get to speak, this might be worth sharing. So in his essay, Fuller takes this honest and humbling look at what's happening to liberal religion in the United States. He looks at why it once thrived, what brought so many of us to it, and on the flip side, why it may now be on the decline. It is a prophetic warning about what's in store for liberal religious communities in the very near future. And from it, we can discern an invitation for what we might be invited to become next. So this morning, I'd like to walk through that essay, just hitting the highlights and moving through what he calls the 5 predicaments facing liberal religion. And then we can try to imagine a way forward. Now, as we do this, I want to say at the outset, there may be some places here where we find ourselves a little defensive. That's normal. We might find ourselves saying, well, that's not about us, though. We don't do that. We're the exception. And we might be right about that. Not all of these that we're about to talk about are universally applicable, but they do describe trends. And some of these trends we are unavoidably a part of. So I want to issue this invitation at the outset, if we find ourselves getting defensive, to take that as a cue to get curious. To take a breath and ask ourselves, where have we seen this? Is there a way this might be about us, even if just a little bit? And if so, what might it really be inviting us to do? So, with that being said, let's dive in. Predicament number 1, Fuller calls spiritual thinness. And here's what I mean by that. In liberal congregations, we're likely to hear plenty of focus on social concerns or academic responsibility. But what we're less likely to hear is any kind of robust theological or spiritual language. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, I don't see the problem. If we wanted to hear a bunch of God talk, we'd go to any of the 12,000 other churches in town. But the problem is this. If we are only offering social commentary or academic exploration without some kind of accompanying robust spirituality, then what is liberal religion offering that secular progressivism can't already provide? I mean, what can we hear from a liberal congregation that we couldn't already get from a podcast or a university lecture or a meeting with a local service group or cable news? What are we offering that those other outlets aren't already in a position to offer, and often more effectively? A congregation like that can quickly become a horse in a world of Model Ts. Now, quick check-in. If you're feeling defensive or you're saying, I know exactly what we offer that they don't, that's great. Hold on to that. We'll circle back. Remember, though, to get curious and ask yourself how you may have seen things like this play out. All right, Fuller's second predicament he calls a loss of mythic consciousness. It's a mouthful. As with spiritual thinness, liberal congregations tend to talk a lot about social issues or academic topics, but we often leave out any kind of grand spiritual narratives. We don't hear sacred stories. We don't talk often about myths. And once again, you might be asking, so what? Why would we want that? And I'll tell you, without myths and sacred stories, we don't get to wrestle with paradox. We don't get to push back against ancient epics or find ourselves negotiating meaning. We don't get to find ourselves enraptured by tales of gods and devils or stand with ancient people in awe of the mysteries of the cosmos. We don't cultivate ears to hear the underlying rhythms of the universe. Reconnection with a grand cosmic identity is something that faith communities have offered for generations, and if we don't, if we're only offering social commentary or academics, then again we have to ask, what are we offering that other institutions aren't already in a position to offer more effectively? And the third predicament predates Fuller's essay. He calls it the double bind. Simply put, as Stephen Webb once said, this means liberal theology is too secular for religious believers, it's too religious for secularists, and too academic for non-theologians. That's well put. I'd argue that would be a triple bind, but whatever. The point is, we're caught between academic credibility and religious relevance and secular sensibilities. And it's hard, if not impossible, to satisfy all of them at once. I mean, if I stand up here and I talk about God or anything too vulnerable or woo-woo, then I leave half of you kind of awkwardly cringing in your chairs. But if I get up here and I stick to strict academics or social issues or history, I leave the other half of you asleep. Certainly there are some who pull this off well, but the trend suggests that these are often the exceptions and not the rule.
You're the exception, bro.
Hey, thanks.
You're wonderful.
More often, by attempting to speak to everyone, we wind up speaking to no one. That's the double bind. People are increasingly getting their needs met from sources that will do one or the other, but not try to straddle both. So what are we offering in a world like that? Fuller's fourth predicament, this is the one with the best title. He calls it liberal laryngitis. And by this, he means the difficult that we will sometimes have when it comes time to proclaim something as powerfully true. So let me put it this way. Liberals are more likely to see a bunch of sides of any issue. We live in nuance. The world exists in these shades of gray. And so we wind up nuancing things to death, or hedging, or apologizing to the point that a message can lose its teeth. We lose our ability to just proclaim something as true in a way that is moving and satisfying. And again, this is not the case with all congregations. In fact, I think UUs actually do this pretty well, especially when it comes to social issues. But again, this is a trend. And then there's Fuller's final predicament. And this one is not unique to liberal or even religious institutions. He calls this the nostalgia trap. Wow. The nostalgia trap, as the name implies, is what happens when we get stuck in celebrating old victories at the expense of the current work to be done. We celebrate the great work that happened around race and gender in the 60s and the 80s, but it can sometimes happen in a way that distracts us from the courage and creativity needed for this cultural moment. People come to faith communities to be a part of something active and alive, not to cling tight to what we used to be. In fact, over-attachment to old stories and established institutional ways of doing things can often erode trust. That is the nostalgia trap. So, as I read through these 5 predicaments that Fuller names, one question kept occurring to me. What changed? I mean, these things have been characteristic of liberal religion from the beginning, right? Yet liberal religion thrived for a long time. So why are the numbers declining now? What shifted? And the answer I learned essentially comes down to this. Liberal religion is answering a question that fewer and fewer people are interested in asking. So let me explain. A few hundred years ago, since Enlightenment thinking came along, people have struggled to reconcile their faith and scientific discovery. They've struggled to reconcile their religious tradition with evolving social issues. Our faith is important, people would say. So how do we square it with what we're learning about the world? And liberal religion stood in that gap. For generations, liberal religion has been, in the words of Gary Dorian, a third way between orthodox overbelief and secular disbelief. It helps us navigate what it means to be religious, but also believe in evolution. To be religious, but still fight for civil rights. The problem with this question, though, is that fewer of us are starting with the assumption that we have to be religious at all. And as a result, there's really no need to reconcile anything. If religion isn't your starting point, then there's really no problem believing in evolution or exploring social justice issues. And if we're not asking this question of how do we square those things, then what becomes of the religion that rose up to stand in the gap? It becomes a horse in a world of Model Ts. Used to, that central question was enough to drive us through those predicaments, but it's not anymore. So this leads us to the next question. Is this the end of the road for liberal religion? And when it comes to liberal Christianity, Tripp Fuller seems to think so. We've hit an impasse, he says. Whatever this tradition becomes in the future, it may be great, but it won't be the liberal religion that we've known. But that's the thing to me. Maybe it doesn't have to be. Who says it has to be what we've known? There was a time before it. There will be a time after it. And what is reality if not a stream of impermanent becomings as we arrive at ever-renewed identities? Like Petra. That's good. That's good. So in our last few minutes, I'd like to take one more look at those 5 predicaments, because I think they show us something important. Beyond just the symptoms of a problem, I think that if we look carefully, we'll see that they point to something deeper, to the underlying needs that are not necessarily being met. And if we can get a clear view on what those needs are, then we have choices. Then we can be courageous in embodying a way to address them. So let's look one more time at those 5 predicaments and what they might actually point to. Number 1, spiritual thinness. That liberal theology focuses on social concerns and shies away from embarrassing God talk. The answer to this, I think, is recognizing and reclaiming the truest meaning of God talk. God, after all, to many of us, is just another word for our ultimate concern. Spirituality is another name for the stories that we tell to connect to ourselves, to others, and something greater. Even if we're allergic to the word God, we still talk about these ultimate concerns. Liberal religions have shied away from this, not because there's anything inherently wrong with talking about ultimate concern or spirituality, but because it's so often done so poorly and so shallowly that we've become embarrassed by it. And for good reason. I think we also shy away, though, because honest spirituality, that's a pretty vulnerable thing to explore. Something that head-centered liberals like me shy away from when they can. There is a very real societal need, though, for a spiritual robustness, for God talk that clarifies what our ultimate concerns really are, and spirituality that connects us in a healthy way to ourselves, to our neighbors, and to our world, our universe. And in so doing, we nourish the roots from which healthy social justice work and critical thinking naturally grow. We nourish the roots so that they can grow the fruit. And that's something that liberal religion is in a place to offer more effectively than any podcast or university lecture or cable news show ever could. That is a gap that we can stand in. And second, there is the loss of mythic consciousness. This is how liberal theology tends to shy away from myths or sacred stories, or when we do engage them, we overanalyze them to death, like pinning down a butterfly. The solution, though, isn't leaving the myths by the wayside. It's learning to relate to them differently. There is a very real spiritual need in our world for a mythic consciousness. To see the small stories of our lives in the context of a larger cosmic story. Our world is increasingly, as one teacher said, all treble, no bass. And to reconnect with those bass notes of the universe, we need those sacred stories. Now, that does not mean reverting to an anti-intellectual or small-minded myth talking about snakes or giant floods or killing giants with slingshots. It means learning to relate to them as poetry, as works of art that can become playgrounds in which we can discover truth about ourselves and our universe. In the context of responsible and caring community, that is something else that liberal religion can offer in a way that few other institutions can. And then the double bind. And I've got to ask myself, is that duality really necessary? I mean, sure, liberal religion has been too religious for academic folks, too academic for religious folks, but shouldn't the goal to be to use academic accountability to contribute to responsible religious experience? Don't they go hand in hand? I mean, it's a tradition which takes seriously the study of religious history and sacred texts and spirituality and psychology, but always only in the service of creating a space for faith formation that is safe and responsible and effectively leads to individual well-being and caring community. That is something our society is hungry for and something that we know how to do. I'm going to skip liberal laryngitis. Both because of time and because I think we get the idea that there is a need to hear spiritual truth proclaimed powerfully and honestly. But the nostalgia trap, that's the last thing I want to touch on. And this one is tricky for everybody. The fact that people have little patience for getting caught in institutional nostalgia points to a need for ongoing creativity and courage, and for awareness of the social and spiritual issues playing out in real time. We probably know that. But what does it look like to meet this need, really? We can talk about prophetic witness and social action, sure, but I think this also points to a need to let go of some things and trust. To let go of old forms that may have served us really well in the past, whether that be programs or traditions or buildings or language, and to be open and creative into how to meet those evolving needs now. There's a piece I think of often by an artist named Scott Erickson. And in it you can see this church building slowly crumbling into sand at the top of an hourglass. And at the bottom of it, you can read that, right? It reads, "If you love the form, you have everything to lose. If you love what gives it its form, you're free to receive whatever it's turning into." And this, I think, gets to the heart of the challenge and the invitation facing liberal religious communities today. So that brings us to the final question. What does this mean for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola? In a world where liberal religion is declining, like horses in a world of Model Ts, what might it look like for us to stand in that gap and address those spiritual needs? What are the ways in which this community has been doing that, has met your needs, brought you here? Because those are important. And then we have to ask, how can we continue in that tradition, embodying those responses anew in every moment? And, like Petra, how do we remember our rockness while we remain open to whatever we're becoming next? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's say our closing words together, if you will. Hopefully y'all can see that. We'll read it together. Community is the spirit, the guiding light of the tribe, whereby people come together in order to fulfill a specific purpose, to help others fulfill this purpose, and to take care of one another. Maybe so. Choir, come on up. Y'all willing and able to stand and sing one more time with us? We're going to sing, it's in the teal hymnal somewhere. We're building a new way, 1017. Very appropriately. So we'll sing this together and then come up for the picture and then goodies. Thank y'all so much. We love you. Go in peace, but go in peace up on this stage because we got to take that picture. Rick's in charge. Does it move? Does it? I don't even know.